Hello, welcome to the Blue Grid podcast. This is your host, Major Anya Fedotova, a psychologist at Los Angeles Air Force Base. What makes us resilient? What is grit? Please join me as I set out to discover how we can become greedier. This podcast features current and former military leaders, mental health experts, elite athletes, veterans, special operators, superior performers, POWs, and others affiliated with the military who have overcome significant adversity. Each guest will discuss the unique methods and practices to help airmen and really all service members or anyone interested to build mental toughness and grit. The views expressed are those of the author or guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the United States Air Force, the Department of Defense, or the United States government. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this episode of the Blue Grid podcast. My guest is Senior Master Sergeant Israel Del Toro, DT for short. This podcast was recorded live at Los Angeles Air Force Base during a Wingman Day. The interview starts out by the Commander, General Thompson, and the Command Chief Master Sergeant Scott Myers, Space and Missile Systems Center, introducing Israel Del Toro. It's followed by a movie about DT's life and legacy. Then I interview DT for this episode of the Blue Grid and take questions from the audience. A little about DT. In 2005, he was severely injured in Afghanistan and suffered third-degree burns on 80% of his body. He was given a 15% chance of survival. Del Toro used adaptive sports as a part of his rehabilitation to overcome those odds. At the 25th Annual ESPY Award in 2017, Del Toro was presented with the Pat Tillman Award for Courage. And you will hear about his amazing athletic achievements throughout this interview. I hope you enjoy this episode. Good morning, Senior Master Sergeant Del Toro. What a moving video.
Thank you.
What is it like to watch it now?
It's always tough. It really is, especially that part when I first hear my son reading that poem, because it does bring back a lot of memories of, my dad and then what I went through. So, I know what to expect when I see it, but it still affects me. It still makes me want to cry. So every strength for me is holding those tears back, 'cause I don't let people see me cry.
Well, it's an honor to have you as a guest for the next episode of the Blue Grid podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions as we're recording this interview. Let's jump right into it. Tell us about your Air Force career. You have a very unique, unusual Air Force career.
Yeah, it's been a unique journey. I came in to be a TACP. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to call in airstrikes. And to what has evolved to where I'm now speaking in front of large groups, I would have never thought of that. I thought I'd be a TACP here all my life. But of course, circumstances changed that. I've become, I went from getting a wounded guy and being in a patient squadron, helping try and change policies, to being an instructor, to then train for the Paralympics, to now being a member of the U.S. Air Force parachute team. So it's been a unique journey. I like to always describe it as, I don't know if anyone's seen, Forrest Gump, but when he talks about his journey, how he's been at different locations, seen, different sceneries, I kind of always try to base it like that I've seen some unique things on my journey out here.
I'm curious about you participated in the adaptive sports and you used adaptive sports as a way to overcome some of your physical limitations. Can you tell me a little bit about this? You participated in a number of games and have a long list of accomplishments and medals. And how were you able to switch, into training in the various disciplines?
I've always been an athlete all my life. I've played baseball, football, soccer, all throughout my life. So, when I first got hurt, I'm thinking, man, all that's gone. But as a program there at the Center for the Intrepid, they introduce you to adaptive sports. They show you can still do things. You know, I never did track and field, but they introduced me to shot put, javelin, discus, air rifle, sitting volleyball, and showing you that you still can do things, even though at first you think, well, I'm done. And it also helps you get back out there. You know, get you out there moving, you know, make you feel like yourself again. And that's how I really got into it, and I just started to excel. You know, like I said, I never threw a shot put or javelin or discus, but now I own all 3 world records for them. But I just use it to get out there, and that's, you know, I was so thankful when they asked me to do the first World, Warrior Games, because again, I wanted to go out there and show other service members that are in that, may not be as bad as me or are, that you can still live, you can still do things like sports, like going out, having fun and laughing again, because sometimes you feel like you can't.
So let me read all the sports you participate. You compete on shot put, discus, cycling, relay, shooting, and sitting volleyball. What does your training day or week look like?
It's very tiring. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. So I usually try and do like my throwing events every other day, and then like cycling and shooting the days I'm not throwing. And it starts in the morning. You know, I usually get up about 4 o'clock, try and get a workout in, and then I'll go to work during lunchtime, or if like we have bad weather days, I'll be out there in the drop zone and throwing the shot put, throwing the discus or javelin. And luckily there at the Air Force Academy, there's a shooting range there, and so I'll go down there and shoot there once in a while. So it's really, you really got to adapt your adaptive sports training to fit in where you can.
And you had, at least Google says, so I'm guessing it's true, 120 surgeries, or over 120 surgeries. How were you able to train through all these medical complications that you've had and all the surgeries?
It's really about us setting a schedule. It's like if I know that, you know, I have major competitions coming up, I try to schedule my surgeries before all those events happen. You know, like last year's an off year for, you know, Paralympic style sporting events. So a lot of guys get surgeries done, get stuff done, and that's what I do. Now this year, even though I have an opportunity not to wear a brace anymore because I have foot drop, I'm not going to have that surgery right now because I know it's going to take me out to 6 months. Because now is a time where we're training, trying to get selected to go down to the Paralympics.
Oh, it's very impressive. Last year, I'm going to switch gears a little here. Last year, you were awarded the ESPY's Pat Tillman Award for Courage, and during your acceptance speech, you said, "When I first saw my face, all I thought that someone is going to be afraid of me just by looking at me." Have your scars changed your self-image or your self-confidence?
You know, that day I always call it my darkest hour because I was afraid. I was terrified. That's the only time I ever wished I died. But after a while, you know, like my therapist, you know, my physical therapist there, Gary, who I call my guardian angel, you know, he's the one that told me, "Hey man, all your son wants is his dad. That's all he wants. He doesn't care." And once I saw
Did you believe him at the beginning?
Was I what?
Did you believe him in the beginning?
You know, there's always that doubt. You're like, yeah, right. It's like the video said, I'm a 30-year-old man at the time. If I don't think I'm a monster, what's my 3-year-old son going to think? But once I came home and I saw that my son didn't care, he just wanted his dad back, and that my wife loves him, my friends have my back. I really didn't care what other people thought or how they looked at me. It's mostly my friends and my family that get more upset than I do. You know, when they see people staring at your scars, what you look like, I don't even notice it. That's because I just don't care. It's something minuscule. Why stress over something like that? When there's so much life out there, joy you can enjoy, why am I going to care what a few people think?
And so for those airmen who may be struggling with tough times at this moment, like you had once, do you have maybe 2 or 3 things that you could recommend that would be helpful for them?
You know, First of all, you can't do it by yourself. I will never stand up here, or any time I speak, say that I did it on my own, because I didn't. I had teammates from when I first got hurt, from when I was in the hospital, to my recovery, to now, what I'll call if I'm having a bad time, say, hey, man, I need to talk. Because you can't do it on your own, you just can't. Also, I would say don't let the little things bug you. It's not worth it. It really isn't. There's always someone out there probably having a worse day. Losing a parent, like our ex-president, going through that, or something just worse can happen. So why stress over like, oh my God, I can't get this paperwork done in time, things like that. It's not worth it. And go out and enjoy life. My last thing would be just go out and enjoy life. Because there's so much wonderful things out there, I'm jumping again, I'm running, I'm getting to see my son grow up, I get to see, movies, of course, like the Avengers, I like, but stuff like that. But I also like to say, you have to laugh. You really have to be able to laugh at. Yeah, I know it sucks what happened, but I gotta laugh at it. I make fun of myself all the time. There's an instant, because I used to remember when I was at the therapy, one of the newer guys, and when the older guys would come in that had been there, they're cracking jokes and all that, and I was like, you know what, these guys can laugh at themselves, why can't I? So I remember when I became the old guy, and I would go to the therapy, and I would crack a joke, one of my favorites was, I walk into the burn center, and I was like, is someone cooking some meat or something? And of course, all the guys and gals are just dying laughing, and the parents and loved ones are like, oh my God, did this guy really just say that? But it was my way to show them, hey man, you can laugh about it. You can still have fun.
So seeking support, not doing it alone, being lighthearted,
yeah,
laughing. Anything else? What is the recipe for grit? What is the recipe for resilience?
Finding your spark. Finding your inner fire that will drive you. We all have it. Mine is my son. He was my spark that kept me going, kept me fighting, not letting things hold me down. And we all have it. You just gotta find it. And sometimes you may need help to find that spark. I always tell people when I speak, it's like, I'll always be there for you. I'm not one of these guys that, oh yeah, Sergeant Toro says he's gonna be there, but when I direct message him or something like that, or send him an email, he doesn't reach out. But I do. I may not be the lovey-dovey and give you a hug, say, oh, okay, it's okay. I'm like, stop your whining, get back out there, kick some butt. But again, I will help you find that spark. And we all have it. We definitely all have it. You just gotta dig deep inside of you to find where it's at.
Is there one habit, one ritual that you have to do every day that is a part of your life that you feel brings you success, makes you more successful?
I do, and my wife hates it. I'll come home and I'll play about an hour and a half. She says like 8 hours of PlayStation. I always do it. I'll come home, after either workout or from work. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go down, play some games, just release whatever I have. And again, it's another way of me releasing whatever negative energy, or if I'm feeling bad, it's my de-stressor. I head down to my cave, or like my wife said, I did say, oh, you're heading down to your cave again? It's like, yep.
I was gonna ask you next question about one weakness that you would like to change, that you can't change, and I was hoping you would answer to the previous question by saying, I do 100 push-ups, so every day I make my bed, that kind of thing. Do you have one weakness, or one bad habit that you wish that you could get rid of?
A bad habit. Well, again, my wife would say it'd be, why are you still playing video games at the age of 40-something? But I was like, I don't think that's a bad habit. It could be, I guess. Like I said, I only play an hour,
Or 8 hours.
8 hours, it just depends, I would say a bad habit that I would like to break is probably help out a little bit more with my wife. She does a lot. She's going to school right now. She comes home. She does the laundry, make the bed, cook us food. And I always keep saying to myself, all right, I'm going to help her. I'm going to do the laundry. But then there's this like little evil side that says, DT, just go play some video games. And I end up playing some video games. So that's probably a habit I would like to break, is being able to be more helpful with my wife and help her with, laundry, cooking. I probably could stick some stuff in the microwave, but cooking was never my strong point. But I could make the bed. I can do some household chores like, laundry and stuff like that. So I would like to be able to do more like that.
Do you have a favorite failure?
A favorite failure? Favorite failure? I don't know. You got me good on that one. I don't think I've ever had that question. I've done a couple of these, so that's a good one. Touche. Favorite failure? Maybe more patient, or I don't like being patient because I like to get directly to the point, and it made me be a little more understanding, but I know nowadays people, we gotta, hug a lot of people and tell them it's okay, but I sometimes feel like that we baby people too much, and we gotta, hey man, you got this, because I always think back of the greatest generation, World War II vets, who now saw some of the most intense fighting that there could ever be, and they came back, started families, started innovating, started doing all these things. So people always tell me, DT, you should be maybe more gentle, but I don't like it, because I want to get people going. I want to get them motivated. I want to push them, and so I think that would be my favorite, bad habit maybe.
Okay. And do you have somebody who inspired you or continues to inspire you?
I've always had people that inspire me. I remember one time being in the hospital, having a bad day, and Brian was this kid that had lost both of his legs, his arm, and he's in a wheelchair, and his fiancée left him, and he had no family. But I always saw him in the hallway, laughing, joking around, and I was like, man, he has it so much worse than I do, but he's out there having a good old time. I don't know if it was his attitude or the fentanyl pop that he had in his mouth with his opium, so he might have been just high. But also, when I will go to Paralympic style games or competitions, and I'll see 8-year-old kids with no legs running, or blind guys doing the long jump. Imagine the long jump blind. You're just going off people clapping, and once you hear the person stop clapping, you just launch yourself. And I'm like, holy crap. So stuff like that really inspires me, that really motivates me. There's a lot of things out there that inspire me, and I know people look at me, it's like you ask, what inspires you? It's like just everyday people. It really does, everyday people even to my wife, was how resilient she was. This woman was afraid of blood, and to do what she did and still come out ahead, it's inspirational. I don't know what more I can look at to be more inspiring than a woman that came from Mexico, didn't know any English, raised a 3-year-old son while her husband's fighting for his life, and still come out ahead. There's nothing more inspiring than that.
Were you afraid that she would leave you when she saw your scars?
I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous because I didn't look the same. You know, I went from a 200-pound muscle head to 115 pounds. You know, I looked frail, you know, tiny, scared, you know, like someone attached to, like, you know, satellites or space command, you know. Oh, sorry.
You said it out loud.
I thought that was my inner voice.
Out loud.
But yeah, you know, I was scared because I did see a lot of other guys, his loved ones, just ditch him. But I got lucky. Like I said in the video, I got lucky. She stayed by my side, and once I knew she would be there, you know, I wasn't afraid anymore. You know, I always say she's a whole lot better spouse than I am. What she went through and what she does for me, it's amazing. You know, she always says, if something like this would happen to me, will you take care of me? And I'm like, well, I'll bring your mom over. That's kind of taking care of you, right? And she just gets mad at me.
I'm going to switch topics a little. I'm curious to know about your NFQ tattoo. A little bird told me.
You know, NFQ, if you guys don't know what it means, it's never, can I say the word? Yeah. And never effing quit. It's something I used, something I would tell when I was an instructor to my students, and it's something that's like, man, get out there and do it. It's sometimes people are afraid to use colorful words, but sometimes colorful words used at the right moment can inspire, motivate, and drive people. And that phrase does it a lot. And people associate it to, man, I'm not gonna quit. And when you throw that little colorful words, you're like, I'm really not gonna quit. So I use it, and I guess it's trademark, so any people that try and use it, you will pay, and my lawyers will contact you. But it really gets to the point. It gets them to a point, gets them going.
We're going to take a pause. I'm going to open this up to the questions from the audience. So if you guys have questions, I don't know if we have mics on the side, so hopefully we'll have mics. And while we're waiting for the question, I'll ask one. Have you ever felt disappointed or that in your military career, or maybe that you're losing a sense of passion or meaning for what you do?
Of course, there's always times when people feel that way. You know, you always want to be, you know, the best. You know, we have our 3 core values, and excellence in all we do is one of them. And sometimes I you know, because of my disability, I can't do everything I wish I could do. So it gets a little frustrating. But then I realized to myself, you know what? I may not be able to do this, but I can do this a lot better, this other project or ability of mine. So, you know, that's the only real time that I get to a point where I get frustrated, when I can't really want to do stuff that I want.
And any words of wisdom for those airmen who feel maybe they're losing a sense of passion or meaning in what they do?
You know, I would say talk to someone. You know, talk to a friend, talk to a supervisor. Hey man, I can't get this. Can you help me with this? Because again, you can't do it on your own. You can't. No one can. And whoever says they did, they're lying. I was like, I'll call out their BS. Because you need help. You know, the military, the world doesn't work on its own. It takes a group effort to make this place go and keep going.
Okay, thank you. Do we have questions? We do.
Steve Lackner, GPS Directorate. You kind of touched on the importance of laughing, and that's what I was thinking I wanted to ask you before you came today, because I was watching a Netflix program the other day called Bumping Mics, as in microphones, and it's 2 insult comics, and then they call you up on stage for a couple minutes, and they said they didn't want to do this, but you asked them to, and they ribbed you about your appearance and the accident, and the explosion, the attack, and then you had a couple zingers back, and the whole thing was very inspiring in a way. It had a mix of humility and confidence, but you asked them to rib you. It was all good fun, and I was wondering what motivated you to be asked to be ribbed on Netflix, these 2, insult comedians, and how do you get to the point, I guess they say you can't laugh about bad times, you'd be left doing nothing but crying. But how do you get from the most serious things like you've been talking about to the point where you can be lighthearted about it, even on Netflix?
It takes time. It does take time. And it also seeing other people that may have the same situation as I was in, seeing them laugh helps you. I was like, okay, I got this. I can get through this. And you know, these guys, the first time they were gonna roast me, they chickened out. You know, we were at a charity event that I was helping with, and they chickened out. So when they had the Netflix special coming out, they asked me to be part of it. It's like, we ain't gonna chicken out this time, I swear, DT. I'm like, all right. I'm like, we'll see. And you know, I knew what they were gonna say. In my head, I was like, come on, man, I'm an easy target. You know, I'm gonna get roasted. I knew they were gonna say, I was like, dude, this guy already got roasted, man. And they said it, you know. And so, you know, I knew what they were gonna say. So it doesn't affect me, but also the main reason I really did that is because I want to show the world you can still laugh. You can still tease, make fun of yourself, you know, stuff like that. And it's okay to laugh, because laughter, I really do think, is a great healing point that helps you overcome a lot of things. So, you know, I just really enjoyed it because, you know, all those guys are very nice. Every single one of them. And Dave Littell was nervous about how, you know, Jeff was getting at me, and he even said to me, like, hey, DT, when you have this bag and people start thanks, like, you know what, Dave, don't even worry. If I can laugh at myself, no one should have a damn issue about it. You know, you should laugh, you should have fun, you know, so, you know, it's, like I said, it takes time, and seeing other people do it, because that's how I got over it. I got to see other people in my situation laugh about what happened to them and make jokes. So that was the main reason why I did it.
Senior Master of the Toro Chapel in Baltimore. The opening video had a powerful image of you going into the chapel and sitting down, reflecting, a little after processing when you pray. Just wondering if you mind sharing with us maybe with faith, how has influenced your faith?
You know, my faith was a big part of it. I'm not a big praying guy. I usually do it when I need some strength. When I think I can't get through it. And all through my life I had it, you know. But for a long time I was losing my faith because I felt that I was cursed. I felt, why is all this stuff happening to me? To lose my dad at 12, then a year and a half later losing my grandma, or my mom, and then, you know, my grandparents, you know, my grandfather getting a stroke, and my grandma getting cancer, then she died. Then my cousin that was a brother died to me, to, you know, even losing my teammate, Emer Lozano. I'm like, why is all this stuff happening to me? Why am I getting thrown these obstacles? And I truly think that he did it because he wanted to prepare me for December 4th, which just happened, which I totally forgot about. I didn't even realize that was at 13 years that I got hit. So that it really challenged me. But then when, you know, in the hospital, you know, talking to people, my wife being there, her sticking by my side, my teammates flying from all parts of the world, being there for me, started to help me get my faith back, help me get, you know, getting stronger and believing, all right, he had a plan. There's a plan for DT, you know. Of course, I would love to still been a TAC-P and calling in airstrikes, but until we can become like Star Wars and I get a cool Luke Skywalker hand and I just Jedi mind trick on people, we're not there, but what I'm doing now is helping me help other people. It's helped me have that faith that there's a reason why I survived. There's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why he threw all that stuff at me, so I can help someone. Because I'm a realist. I know I may not touch everyone. I know that. I know that. But if I could help that one or two that really need it, then everything I went through, all that pain, all that suffering I went through all throughout my life is worth it. I was able to help that one or two people. And it's very rare when they'll come out and say it. They're usually, contact me on social media or send me an email. And that's when I'm like, wow, I helped someone. I made a difference. And again, that was me finally understanding why I went through with my faith. Of course, my wife yells at me that I should go to church more often, but I tell her, honey, the Bears are playing. But I do end up going, after football season, But usually after football seasons are the big, I'm Catholic, so we like long masses. And so, I go to midnight Christmas Mass, but I thought it was over once I didn't live with my grandparents anymore, but my wife makes me go to Christmas Mass. And then Easter, and I was like, honey, I go to all the big ones, the main ones. But yeah, faith was a big part of me. And like I said, it didn't start very high, but now it's pretty high up there where I say a prayer once in a while and say, hey, help me get through this. Especially every time I jump out of a plane. Please God, let the chute open. I only have one reserve, let them both open. But yeah, faith was a part of me getting me stronger.
Thank you. We'll take one more question. I'm aware of time.
Good morning, DT. Thank you for coming and sharing your story. It really does help all of us, just ordinary military people. I really appreciate you sharing. I'd like to give you a helpful hint if you're open.
Okay.
Behind every accomplished man is a great woman. Pick one thing you can do for your wife every day and do it. Just do it. You talk about that, but that wasn't my question. I'm a nurse practitioner over in the medical squadron. It's my job. So easy. One thing. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the time that you were in the coma. I think it was 3 months you might have mentioned, they mentioned. If you could tell us about that, do you recall anything? And then I wanted to know if food as medicine played any part in your recovery, process. So coma and how you eat.
Coma, well, I really don't remember anything. I was not trying to pick on you, but people have asked me that, and I'm like, do you not realize what coma means? I really don't remember what's going on. But I remember, what I do remember is coming out of it. I had flashes of things, and the one I specifically remember is, I swear to God, I thought I was in Hooters. There with my buddies, and all of a sudden I hear a voice, and it sounded like God's like, DT, you're hallucinating, you're not really there, and I'm like, what? And then I get out of it, I'm like, oh man, I was in a good place. Another one that my wife tells me is like, she says I still thought I was downrange, and I was like literally calling airstrikes. But that all happened when I was coming out of that coma. And the second part was, what was the second part? See what happens when you get blown up, you forget things. What was it? Food, food. Yeah, food, food was a big important thing, getting your nutrition to start. Like I said, I went down to 115 pounds. So I didn't start getting my strength back. So, having my food, even though some of it I didn't like, I had, especially the Ensure, I hate that Ensure. So having your Ensure, it's good. It's good for you. But all that stuff helped me get stronger, get me going. And so now, because of that, now I have the body with senior NCOs. So. I can say that. I can say that, yeah. But all that stuff helped me got stronger. And, all joking aside, it really got me stronger, got me going, got me to a point where I could start walking, start moving, start doing things that I wanted to, like go outside, hang out. So nutrition is a very big part. Again, maybe I should have not eat so much, but it is what it is.
I'm aware of time. Is there something that I'm not asking you, or we're not asking you, that you'd like to share today?
I know you did a very good job. Like I said, you threw out that one question I never had, which I gave you, props on. But my main thing is why I come out here is like, you can't do it alone, guys. You just can't. No one can. You have to have your teammates. You're always going to have bad days, but you can't let those bad days overcome you. Find that spark, find that fire inside of you that will drive you. Like I said, the video still hits me. It still affects me. Even seeing my dog Dakota, my precious dog that I had for 14 years. I had to put her down in August. That still affects me, but a lot of my teammates saw how that affected me, and they came over on a Friday and said, "Hey man, let's have some drinks. Let's talk about Dakota, how they will take care of her and how she'll be there for her, or how they will sometimes show up drunk and wrestle with her, and wake up the next morning and have her hair all over. It's like, how'd I get her hair? It's like, because we wrestled Dakota." But again, it all comes back to your teammates being there for you. Noticing that, hey man, my teammate's having a hard time, I'm gonna go talk to him. I'm gonna just have a beer with them, or just chill with them, or play a video game. Again, so it always comes down to like my dad's words: take care of your family. When I first heard them back when I was 12 years old, I saw it as strange. Why did my dad say that to me? And it evolved from not just taking care of my brothers, sisters, my mom at the time, to now taking care of anyone, taking care of my military family, taking care of someone that is out there having a bad day and being there for them. So I really use those words of my dad. Promise to always take care of your family, because we are family, and we have to have each other's back.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here as a guest and be the guest for the Blue Grid podcast.
It was my pleasure. I enjoyed, and I appreciate you guys inviting me out here. And if you haven't seen it, go see my little comedy debut. It was pretty funny. They did cut out some jokes, which I was bummed about. I thought there were good singers back, but they got to meet Jeff and Dave. Look good, so they'll want me to take their job, so it's okay. But now, thank you for having me here, and thank you all you guys for having me.
This is your host, Major Anya Fedotova. Thank you for listening to the Blue Grid podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed this interview. My goal is to air the narratives of courage, vulnerability, and grit to normalize the airman's own challenges and help them internalize the message of hope and recovery. This discussion is not a formal medical advice, and any techniques, treatment, diagnosis, or alternative actions discussed are not a recommended treatment or course of action for all listeners, and are not a replacement for professional medical assistance. You are encouraged to seek medical or psychological help for your unique issue. If you have feedback, please find me in the global. My email is annavfedotova.mail@mail.mil. It's ANNA.V.FEDOTOVA.mil@mail.mil.